my intention is not to put down any religion, but rather say that all religions are pointing towards God, and it's your way, and you have a unique way of pointing your attention towards your soul. Each person kind of has their own path. So I wasn't expecting anyone to even, necessarily believe what I'm saying or follow what I'm saying. What I wanted to do was really create a presence that people could feel. That's much more important to me than trying to, tell someone what spirituality is about. The underlying presence in the gathering is, for me, the most important. That's why I call it mystical. The mystical path. It's the invisible path where you walk into the room and you just feel what I called the other day the Holy Spirit. And it just uplifts you inside, and nothing need be said. Now that, to me, is a great path. I don't need to even describe any kind of deities or any saints or any prophets or whatever. Just simply invoking the presence in the room, and then you sit and relax and sort of dive into that energy. And out of that comes an amazing transformation where you could feel more love, more joy, more bliss, more sweetness, more kindness, more compassion. All the sort of beautiful virtues come out of this presence. And maybe I never even spoke about any of the virtues. Some ministers, they speak very, very much in detail about what the virtues mean and all that. But what if you could just tune in to something invisible and those virtues just arise spontaneously within you? You didn't have to learn anything or hear some lecture on love or even examples of love, right? You just feel it spontaneously, and then you act accordingly because the energy has sparked inside you. And so that's generally how you know that you're approaching your soul. See, what's the soul? Very mysterious word, don't you think? The soul, it's like very ephemeral. I don't know what that is. I don't even know what that is. I talk about a soul and I don't even know what it is. But it's like once you start to experience deeper states of love and joy and peace, you're getting closer to your soul, which is invisible. It's not your body, because your body, moves on. Once the body dies, you move on. Then the question is who really are you? This body that returns back to the 5 elements. So this is 5 elements. It can't be you, because after the body dies, then what are you? And then maybe say you believe in past lives, right? So maybe you take on another body. Maybe you really love to take on a dog body. So you become a dog in your next lifetime. That might be really fun, actually. Especially if you're fed sweet potatoes. So trust me, if you have an owner like Marcus, oh boy, you would want to incarnate as one of his dogs. I've been living with him. You wouldn't want to, trust me. So, but then you take on another body and another body and another body. So who are you? And interesting, this is very common. Okay, I'm going to throw out a suggestion. Let's say you have a mother in this lifetime, and then you pass on, and then you end up in the next lifetime being the mother of your mother. That was in your previous, you see what I mean? Like the soul that took on your mother this lifetime, that soul decided to incarnate as your son, and you incarnate as the mother. That happens all the time. Where you have like a soul family, and the soul family takes on different roles. And interesting, they often do the same things. Let's say your mom was mean to you, And then the next lifetime, you play the mom and you're mean to the son. And then you keep exchanging roles. But at some point, you say, I want to stop the pattern of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, treating each other in a certain pattern. So the goal is to break the pattern so that you can find your true self. Because those patterns kind of like cover up soul consciousness, like veils. You know, if you see your soul clearly, I mean every day you're blissful. There's never an unhappy moment when you're in soul consciousness. But if you're in anger consciousness, that's the veil. So you see anger, and that seems like the whole world is encompassed in anger. So little tiny emotions blind us from seeing our soul. So the point is, how can you clear out those issues bit by bit? Usually it takes many lifetimes to sort of, okay, I'm going to work on my anger or my sadness or my sorrow or my addiction issues or whatever it is. So I work really hard and I clear that up, and then I come closer to my soul. Body dies. Next lifetime, you work on yourself again. You keep cleansing yourself. And each time you clear one of those veils, you become more radiant, more happy, more joyous. And then the ultimate goal then, in this sort of path or in this context, is to find the Christ. And consider that Christ symbolizes the absolute purity of the soul, no veils whatsoever. You know yourself. And that Christ within you is waiting for you to come back. Now, isn't it fascinating that sometimes there will be a Christ character that takes on a physical body into the so-called real world and starts sharing the good news? So all you do is you sit in the presence of such a being. I was trying to describe this to someone earlier. You sit in the presence of that being and you soak up the vibration. And it uncovers your own soul. That's why I became what I call a saint chaser. So I wanted to seek out the company of saints and just sit in their presence and imbibe their vibration, imbibe their energy. And I found that each time I did that, by the way, there were some saints, like this one particular saint, he was totally silent. Been silent for 50 years. Never spoke a word. He just had a little chalkboard and he wrote answers on it. I would sit with him and I'd feel so fantastic after sitting with him. He didn't say anything, but just being with him in that energy somehow helped me to uncover a bit more of my own soul. So I said, wow, this is really working. So I started chasing after more saints. That's been my path. And then, after doing enough work on myself, then I was guided by my teacher, Swami Purna, who said, you now so-called qualify to go and travel and share this energy with others. Or, in a way, help people to uncover the pure soul that they already have, that they already are. You so-called qualify. Before that, I would have said, there's no way I would even think of doing something like what we're doing here, sharing something like this. But he said in a 3-minute meeting, I think it was like in 2012, Brian, it's time for you now to renounce your old life as a financial planner running a business and very successful, very comfortable. Now it's time for you to get a van, put a bed in the van, and just start traveling and sharing gatherings with people. So I said, yes, of course. That was a 3-minute conversation. I had achieved what you would call the American dream. Very comfortable. And that's what I had been working towards really all my life, was that comfort zone, that sweet spot, that comfort zone. I don't have to work hard anymore. The American dream. Just income is pouring in and I don't have to work hard. I have a nice house, nice, family, whatever it is, the sort of typical American dream. And I'm not saying that that's not a dream for some people, because that is. It's a beautiful accomplishment. But I thought, I've done those things. I'm not saying that you should become a monk and go home and sell everything you have and get a begging bowl. I'm joking. But I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I was rather an extremist. So, and if you've ever studied the Buddha suggests following the middle path. He was an extremist also, where he renounced everything. You know the story of the Buddha. He renounced his wife, his child, his kingdom, his whole family, and set off to try to find the truth. And boy, did he work hard. He found some serious spiritual masters, and he studied underneath them, and he fasted, and he went in silence, and he sat and hardly ate anything, and dwindled down to like skin and bones. And he's like, I can't find my truth. Where am I? Who am I? So what he did is he sat underneath this tree called the Bodhi tree. You probably heard of the Bodhi tree. And about 48 days, he sat underneath that tree, and he said, I'm not going to leave until I find the truth. That's pretty severe. That's severe. And then the 48th day, he opened his eyes, and he was free. He was in communion with his soul. Now, the Buddhists generally don't say soul, but I like to use soul because I have a fondness for more the Christian tradition and the sweetness of the soul. I love that word. So he found his soul. He opened his eyes, and he's just like, I'm forever free. No more suffering. I've gone beyond. Extraordinary. And then what happened? A young woman, had been every day visiting the Buddha during those 48 days while he had his eyes closed and he was fighting all his internal demons and all that. She would come with this little bit of rice pudding in a bowl, waiting one day where her, we could call it master if you want to call it, her guide, her master would open his eyes and she could present this little bowl of rice pudding. And so every day she made fresh pudding and he wouldn't open his eyes. Now, after 2 weeks or something, you thought, you think that she would have thought, well, maybe I'll find a master who's actually awake. But she kept it up every single day. On the 48th day, he opens his eyes with this, gentle smile. And there she is, this beautiful woman with this bowl of rice pudding. And she gives it to him. And he takes it. And, normally he's very ascetic, so he wouldn't even accept such things, He's like, oh, the first fruit of enlightenment. Thank you. And he ate it. He ate the pudding. And, of course, she was thrilled. Oh, he accepted my gift. Isn't that sweet? That is devotion. That's why I brought these these flowers from the kitchen. I found them in the kitchen. And then these candles that don't have real flames. And the pictures. That's why we have an altar to honor those beings that have been our guide. When you do that, when you honor those great beings, you bring them alive within you. That's devotion. It's interesting, a lot of people read books and things like that about different spiritual traditions. But how many people love their Savior, love their deity, love their saints? How many honor those who have come before that have guided them along the way? That's why we have an altar. Right? So devotion is powerful. Especially, you go in front of the deity, let's say it's Mother Mary, and you just look at her and just see the sweetness in her eyes, and you're crying because she's so beautiful, so humble, so sweet, so soft. You're crying in front of your altar. That helps you to open your heart through that sweet devotional connection. This has been my path since 2007. I started out with the path of non-duality. Have you ever read the Course in Miracles? It's more of a non-dual Jesus path, more of a non-dual path. Forgiveness leads to non-duality. There is only God. That sort of transcendent state. So that's kind of how I started, was the non-dual. Very intellectual, very sort of like, let me contemplate this concept of non-duality if there's only God, right? People who are strong intellectually work on the non-dual path, usually. That's how I started the spiritual path, because I had a strong intellect. So I used that. Then I thought, there has to be something more than this. This seems a little bit dry to me. And then I read this book called The Gospel of Ramakrishna, an Indian saint who fell in love with a goddess named Kali. Kali is very famous in the Hindu tradition. And every day, he would go in front of his mother, his Kali, and just cry and say, "Oh, Mother, I love you so much. When will you talk to me? When will you say something to me and give me hope, give me some support?" Every day, he was crying in front of the Kali statue, asking for his mother's love and support. And you know what happened one day? She started talking back. And suddenly they were having this sweet conversation every single day. And it was so loving. And he just saw loving Kali. That's what happens. Same thing. If you talk to Jesus enough, he'll start talking back. That's what happens. Those great beings come to you when you talk to them, when you speak to them, when you pray to them, when you ask for their help. They come to you. This is real. You may think, oh, it's invisible. No, this happens. Many stories, many occasions where this has happened. And interesting enough, oftentimes the people who get these visions and connections are so innocent. They don't know anything about religion or spirituality. They don't know anything. They're just like, well, gosh, I love you, Jesus. That's all I can say. If they did a sermon, they were to do a sermon from a church, they would just talk about how they love Jesus so much. That would be their only subject. That's all they know. One day I saw a picture of Jesus and I just fell in love. His heart just seemed so big. I just wanted to hold him. So I decided to make a little Jesus doll. I bring him to bed every night and I hold him. Some people do that. They make dolls of their deity. That's what I'm saying. The more you hold the doll, the more you connect and love that deity, the more likely they come to you. Love is so simple. It doesn't require any figuring out of spiritual reading books. I've read so many books, it's too much. It's too many books. My head is spinning. When my head stopped spinning, I stopped thinking. And I started looking at the picture of Mother Mary, and I'm listening to a song around Mother Mary, and I start crying. And then literally, this is what happens. It's been happening to me for the past few months. I see this vision of Mary and like this beam of light from her heart shining into mine. And I'm literally almost bawling. It's so beautiful. I'm so stunned. And the energy, I mean, the love that just springs up is like a fountain. That's what's happened. That's why I so-called converted, if you want to say. They call it a conversion experience. Conversion experience is simply when you experience an aspect of God. It's real to you. You no longer have to believe. It's real for you. It's alive in you. There's no more believing. You know what I mean? Oh, you got to believe. No believing. It is. And that is what really intensifies one's spiritual path. The reality of your direct experience. And that is the mystical path. So now we'll sing another mantra together. This mantra was sung or was spoken by the Essenes. They were the mystery school, a mystery called group that surrounded Jesus way back 2,000 years ago. They were the mystical group. And their word in Aramaic for the kingdom of heaven is Malkuta Deshamaya. So it's Malkuta Deshamaya. Yeah, that's the kingdom of heaven. So when you say that mantra, or you say that word, you invoke the kingdom of heaven within you. You know, I've often said this. Why do I have to wait to die to get to the kingdom of heaven? I'm too impatient for that. It really is. It's like, I'm not going to wait till my body dies. I want the kingdom of heaven here and now, in this room, immediately. I've been patient on the spiritual path for a long time. Maybe that's why I cry so much over God. I'm like, God, will you come? Please come, you know. Malkuta Deshamaya. And so I kind of composed a little song to go with it and that you could learn and sing. And then maybe you could even use it. Maybe you're in the shower and you're singing Malkuta Deshamaya. Oh, the hot water feels so good. This is my kingdom of heaven, you know. So, or you can sing it to your dogs too. Your dogs, I'm telling you, dogs are generally more open than people.
Only if it stands for sweet.
they're like, that's right, Reverend. See, when they talk Southern talk too.
I just heard an amen.
Can we hear a amen? I wish I could do my whole talk with a Southern accent. That'd be kind of awesome. Yeah, it'd sound more like a preacher.
Sure.
You'll teach me.
Yeah,
He will. He's good. He's a good teacher. So, Malkuta Deshamaya. Malkuta Deshamaya. Malkuta Deshamaya. Malkuta Deshamaya. Malkuta Deshamaya. Malkuta Deshamaya. And then it starts over. Malkuta Deshamaya. Malkuta Deshamaya. Malkuta Deshamaya. Malkuta Let's just imagine the kingdom of heaven as pure white light in the center of your heart. place which is untouched by the world, by thought, by emotions. It's absolutely pure, pure light. In the very core of your own heart. And imagine that that light expands to fill your chest. And then fill your body. And your aura. Surrounding you in this pure white light, cleansing your aura. And then the light expands to fill the room. The whole room filled with this beautiful, pure, white light. The kingdom of heaven. All the people in the room are blessed by this pure white light. All the dogs. Spreading through the entire church, through the sanctuary, through the kitchen, through all the offices. The entire unity of Dallas glowing in this white light, a beacon of light. We're setting the intention that anyone who enters herein, into this place, may be touched by the kingdom of heaven, may feel that presence, may be blessed. So the important thing is to meditate on that energy. The silence. Keep attuning. I was talking to someone recently about attunement. Keep bringing your consciousness back to Malakuta Dishamaya. And soon, you're walking in meditation. So you don't need to close your eyes and say, oh, I need to meditate now. You walk and you feel this, I often call it buoyancy. And it's always lifting your spirits up. You know, so no matter how harsh the world is, that Malakuta Dishamaya is uplifting you. So the difficulties of the world don't have such a sting. And that's why Jesus said, I have overcome the world. Because he was permanently in that Malakuta Dishamaya, that kingdom of heaven. So worlds could not touch him, his truth. That's overcoming the world. Then you're free to be yourself. You're free to be. A lot of times we hold back because of fear. I can't do that. What will people think of me? I might get made fun of. I won't fit in. All those fears. When you meditate with Malakuta Dishamaya, no fear. That doesn't guide your thinking and your decisions anymore. The presence guides your decisions, your thoughts, your words. All of that comes from the kingdom of heaven. So you're no longer a normal person acting on normal human tendencies. You are beyond. And that's why Christ said, you can do as I have done and more. That's said in the Bible. That quote should be repeated many times. He was simply helping, he was a mirror to people so that they could see their own soul and also overcome the world. Free of fear. Then you can do anything. You're not saying, oh, that's too dangerous, I can't do that, or what are people going to think of me? No thought whatsoever. You do it. Isn't that like a Nike commercial?
Just do it.
Just do it. No debating in the mind or thinking, should I or should I do that? Should I do it is a fear-based consciousness. I'm scared, it might fail. In the kingdom of heaven, there's no such thing as failure. You're not afraid of fear. You will, and therefore you will do great things. Because you know that the human heart, we want to do great things. We have big dreams, don't we? Big dreams. A lot of kids say, oh, no, there are parents that say, oh, well, you have to be practical. You have to become a doctor or an attorney or something and make money to protect yourself. So many people end up getting their dreams sort of crushed out of them because of practicality. If you are beaming with the kingdom of heaven, people want to do whatever you want to do. Oh, you want to do a fundraiser for something? Here's $1 million. Why do you give that to me? Oh, because you're glowing with the kingdom of heaven. You're glowing. I want to help you. I feel honored to help you. It's like that. That's what happens. People just say, oh, there's something about you. I really want to, what can I do for you? That kind of thing. So then you will follow your dreams. You will not be ruled by fear. This is how you also become great at anything. That's why they say like an enlightened being will be an expert at anything in the world. Anything. An accountant, a track runner, a reverend, whatever it is, they will be the best. One reason, the mind is not clouded anymore by alternating thoughts. I can't do this, I can, this is too hard, this is, like all the debate that goes in the mind. We lose so much concentration and focus. Even coming to a test, let's say you take a test or something like that, and you're nervous. If you had no fear, whether you failed or you passed the test or whatever, you would finish the test faster than anyone else, and you would be sharper and more intelligent than anyone else, because you're free of all your fears and all the thoughts that drag your mind into all kinds of other directions. You are focused like a laser. That's why I say pursue the path of enlightenment, because it's very practical. It's very practical. You will become good at whatever you do. That's practical, is it not? So, people look at me and think, oh, he's a mystic and a monk or something like that. I'm not interested. That's not for me. So then I have to do a sales pitch for enlightenment. Oh yeah, you can be an expert at anything. You clear your mind of all thoughts and all negativity, and then whenever you do focus on something, you will get her done quicker than anyone else. That was a Southern phrase. So I have to fit into Texas. So I wanted to just ask if anyone had any comments or questions before I concluded. You have any?
I wanted to, I'm going to write down the words so I have them right.
Yeah.
Of course. You know me.
What you could do is email me and then
Yes.
I'll send it to you.
What was interesting is was that Aramaic?
Yes.
Well, it's got some similarities to Hebrew.
Yes.
Because the Ashmaya is very close to Shema.
Right.
Which means listen.
Yeah.
Or hear.
Yeah.
So I kept hearing Shema in there because that's my upbringing.
Yep.
But I thought that was really...
Hebrew is very, very similar to Aramaic.
I thought that was very interesting.
And the beautiful thing about Aramaic is it's very, in a way, a kind of feminine language, in that every word has so many, 5 different nuances, 5 different ways of interpreting that word. So you could say, if you were to say, I love you, all kinds of ways that you can hear that, so many different nuances, even if accenting one little syllable in it, and it kind of changes the whole thing also. So it's a very profound language, and that was the main language of Christ. Mm-hmm. So then I wanted to make those mantras, those words, alive and bring them into the church so people could use them as power words, where every day you are singing in the shower. You can record yourself in the shower and send it to me. And then that's really encouraging. The power words. You want to invoke the energy and then meditate on it. That's why I feel mantra is so powerful and so easy. Probably you don't want to go to the grocery store and be singing it really loud in front of people. You may want to kind of be repeating it softly in your mind, but you can still do it in your mind. The point is it's an invocation that has an amazing presence to it, and it's so easy. So why not make that part of your daily practice? And then ideally, when you invoke the energy after you've done it, sit in silence like we did and just feel. Practice your sense, your mystical sense. Oh, yeah, I got it. There's a little shift inside me. It feels like a meditative power. Let me put all my attention there, and then it draws me in. And then I keep meditating on that. And the more I practice that every day, the more it becomes easier to do. And then after a while, you're like, wow, this mantra is fantastic. It really works. Maybe at the beginning, it might be a little bit hard. It kind of was for me. But with a little bit of practice, I was feeling it. And these gatherings, I hold them to help people get more attuned so that you can take the practice back home with you and continue on with a regular spiritual thing. That's my idea. You don't have to. But something that you can take home and really use to magnify your inner spiritual experience. And just know, I'm doing these kind of practices pretty much all day long. Pretty much all day long. I'm thinking, even if I'm doing activities, like as an example, I go, Marcus knows this, I go jogging almost every day. And I'm imagining that, funny enough, Swami Purna, Mother Mary, and Jesus, all three of them are jogging with me. That's my practice. So it's not just a run. I'm communing with them also. Do you see how I'm like converting more and more? See, they understand.
Yeah.
So I'm converting more and more of my life into focusing on energy and presence and divinity and that energy, that power. The more of my day that goes in that direction, the more regularly aligned I will be. And then even when I'm speaking to people, they may be able to even feel that energy because I've been practicing so much. It becomes a part of me. It becomes a living part of me. Because it is already a part of you. It's just, they call it an awakening. You want to wake yourself up out of sleepiness. When you wake up in the morning and you feel kind of sluggish, like, let me just stay in bed for a few more minutes or something. That's what we are spiritually. We're sleepy. And so people are like, well, I just want to stay asleep. It's easier. Just like you want to stay asleep in the morning because it's so comfortable in bed, especially maybe you have like an electric blanket or something. So I'll continue this maybe Sunday at 1 p.m. when I hold one more gathering. I'd like to talk to Reverend James about the possibility of doing something actually on Thanksgiving itself, because I think we're supposed to have like some sort of dinner, or not dinner, like a meal on Thanksgiving itself. So I thought maybe like
The night before.
Oh, the night before.
Thanksgiving Eve.
Okay, so one of those days have like a gratitude meditation is what I was thinking as one more thing. So, but I'll have to mention that to him later on. Let's see. So, we will conclude. So this conclusion, I'll just kind of share with you a very holy mantra, also a Aramaic mantra that you can use to chant for the world, a prayer for the world. Supposedly, Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene sang this together as a prayer for the world. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Elohim Savaot. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Elohim Savaot. Right? This is a prayer for the world. So in a way, it's good because we send the beautiful energy that we've created here tonight to the world, that all creatures, all beings, the world may be blessed by this chant. And you'll get it as I chant alone. Maybe chant it maybe for a minute or two. And try to feel the energy being sent out. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Elohim Sabaoth. 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 Placing our hands in prayer position in front of our heart, we chant together the mantra Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, sending peace to all beings in this world. Om Shanti Shanti Peace. Peace. Peace be unto all.